Hi everybody, welcome to Revitalise Meets, where I get the opportunity to meet key influencers, business leaders and business entrepreneurs from across the global business network. And today I've got the great pleasure to be with a gentleman who's got over 10 years experience in business and is now the Chief Operating Officer for Hi-Ho Social. Can you please welcome with me today the one, yes, but the only, Mr. Nigel Lee. Nigel, how are you today?
I'm very good, thank you, Lee. I appreciate you having me today.
Absolute pleasure to get to knowing you over the last few weeks anyway, and to be able to welcome you along to Revitalise Meets today. So thanks for that.
It's always good to speak to someone on a different time zone as well. So
very true, because for everybody watching and listening, Nigel's actually in Australia today. So what time is it where you are now?
It is just gone 6:45 p.m., which is pretty normal for me. I'm typically working all through the night. So
brilliant. So he's working a late evening. He's a night owl, ladies and gentlemen. He's a night owl. So thank you. Nigel, starting off with everything, could you best describe your business of where it is right now?
yeah, so Hi-Ho is in this current form is a community engagement plugin or tool, and where it evolved from was, and its core technology and its core mission has always been about connecting humans and building relationships. So essentially networking. It started out as a live event app to allow people to really share information and connect individually, went into a virtual event platform, and then today we pivoted and moved into a product called Hi-Ho Hover, which is really allowing individuals to connect online and build community on websites and events and the like.
Absolutely super. It's a great tool to use. I mean, it's a fully engagement networking tool that you can plug in to your website. Yep. And I'm quite chuffed to bits that we've got it with Revitalise as well on our website. What's been your biggest achievement to year to date? What's been the thing that's took you over the edge?
I think for Hi-Ho, I firmly believe in, and this is a big acknowledgement to our CEO and founder, Jason. He, in end of November, and I joined the company around that time, he had some of our customers come to him. And again, we had always been based our tools on networking and building human connection. And we had some comments around people using other platforms, but not necessarily being able to get the same result or the same value out of that connection and that networking tool. And they came to us and said, how could we use your tool everywhere? And then that's how Hi-Ho Hover was born. And Jason bet the entire company, the entire farm on this new product. And we really moved and changed direction very quickly. And in 3 months, we went from just an idea all the way through to building a product that works, that's stable, and that customers are now signing on. We have people like yourself that we're very proud of having here through our product development and really customer development, but also talking to and signing some very big enterprise customers in the event space, in the website world. And we're very proud of that. And I think we're pushing forward, and we've got a big quarter coming up. We've moved a long way just in the last 2 weeks. So we're very excited about what Q2 is going to happen in 2021.
So he's pleased he made the bet, in other words, then. I think is he quite happy that he's made that bet? He's going in the right
direction. I think so as well. I think everyone gets to a point where you need to make some big decisions, and you need to assess that risk and what that looks like. But I think ultimately it was, and when Jason and I, we know each other from, we're a part of a group together, a mastermind group with other executives and CEOs and founders. And we knew each other there, and he pitched me the concept on a bit of paper, and it wasn't even developed as an MVP or anything yet. And I saw the potential, and I think everyone else does now as well. So I'm happy he did, and I'm happy I joined as well.
Absolutely superb. And I think it's great when you put that into place and you believe in it, dream it, and it comes to fruition as well at the same time. So congratulations on doing that. Over the years, how have you and your team and everybody around you, how have you adapted your business with any of the challenges that have cropped up over the last 12 months?
I think like any challenges, I think you need to take them in your stride and accept what they are and kind of move in a positive direction. And I think if Jason hadn't, up until this stage, we wouldn't have Hi-Ho Hover, and you and I wouldn't be meeting today, definitely. And I think, as I kind of quickly told the story before, so pre everything in the world that's kind of happened, we were just a live event app. And then because of all of the events that have happened in the last 12, 24 months, that we had to move into a new world, which was live event or virtual events, sorry. And then that allowed us to really understand a different customer base, who then really moved us in the direction of building this new higher hover product. And I think it was for the better. And we have actually moved completely away from the event space now and having our own event platform. And we're solely concentrating on hover and really building a community engagement tool for small SMB businesses, but also enterprise type of clients that really struggle to convert, engage, and direct conversation for their community. And I think the way that I always describe it is, look, there's nothing wrong with other community tools or social platforms, but if you take any of these social platforms, you drive all the traffic to your website, you engage them, and then you drive them to another tool to be able to build a community. And typically what happens is they find a cat video or something else to distract them, and then they never come back. So we're really trying to keep the control in the brand's hands. We want it to be customizable and on brand, and we think we're doing that in a pretty powerful way.
And I guess it's you're now getting a global coverage, because I mean, I've been speaking with your good self. I've been chatting to a few contacts that are based over in the States, over the pond, as I like to call it, over the pond there. So you've now got a global reach. You know, it's a
Yeah, correct. It's really allowed us to build something that we can have a global reach, and we're still in the early stages. And we only really just released the first iteration of the product 3 weeks ago, and it's already had a very, very good response, and we're happy with that. And I think now we're really starting to see how much reach we do have. And you're right, it will be global. And I think at some stage we'll start to grow fairly aggressively throughout the rest of the world. And right now we're really concentrating on the US and Europe and the UK. And we just, for example, just ran an event with the Cancer Foundation out of Luxembourg. And we're pretty proud of that. And they used our tool to engage all the event attendees just over this weekend, over a 25-hour event, and then it seemed to be very successful. So yeah, we're pretty happy.
Well, congratulations on that. A great cause as well. So thank you for sharing that as also. What would you share as your golden top 3 tips for, especially what we're talking about today, is looking at an engagement on online networking, especially the way we've all now sort of embraced the virtual space by the power of Zoom, like we're on today. What would be your top 3 tips?
Yeah, good question. So I think if I really thought about it, and this kind of goes back to where I really started my business and professional journey. And I think that the first 1 or 2, I always say to people that there is no like secret sauce. The first 2 is just work. And I think the first one is just, you need to get out there and you need to meet as many people as you possibly can, especially if you're just starting and you're really trying to build a sustainable business. You really need to be able to build that network, that ability to build and figure out how to create relationships, build rapport, and I think this goes into number 2, which is you need to give a lot more than you're going to receive and get in return. And I think especially in those early years, and I have a pretty good experience share there. So my business journey started 10 or 12 years ago. I then took a business concept from Australia to the US. I'd never been to the United States before. Pretty young and naive, pretty stupid to be honest, if I think about it now. I probably wouldn't do it again the way that I did it, but I didn't know any better. And my wife and we landed in New York City, and that's all I did is I went out and met as many people as I could. I gave as much as I possibly could out. And then it was about 6 or 7 months later, I was about to give up because I thought nothing was working. And then I landed 3 large contracts, which at that time was probably worth about $150,000 to me, which was everything because I just started the business. And so I've never looked back. And if I give anyone suggestions, it's just about relationships and building them as aggressively as you can. And then I think number 3 in this new world, and to your point, networking is always seen as this one-on-one physical live contact. But there are a lot of tools and you need to be able to use every medium you can. So whether that is social, whether that's something like HireHopper, or whether it's something like one-on-one on Zoom, I think you just need to be able to leverage and utilize as many of those tools as you possibly can. And that's why they're built. I think, again, everyone thinks there's this like secret process or source out there, but you just need to start and you need to keep going, and you'll figure out kind of what's working and what's not, and then double down on that as well.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think the point that you make with that as well, though, Nigel, is that consistency is a word.
Yes.
Patience is the other. And now and again, we go into networking and people think we need to meet as many people as we possibly can all the time. We're going to meet as many people, loads of people. Yeah. That's networking. It's building strong foundations of relationships, but you cannot forget about the people who you've met 6 months ago from the start to where you are now, in other words. So it's making sure you're building that rapport and nurturing and cultivating those relationships up.
And I think you're totally right. And I think just going back to a little bit about Hover and what we've built in our product is that, especially online, it is very anonymous and it's a very lonely space to be. You can just sit behind your screen and you can kind of just look around the web and not really do much at certain times. And I think with Hover, we're really trying to build engagement between two individuals, whether they've met before or not. And I think, again, continuing that, and Jason likes to say, and I think it's a very good kind of summary of what we do, is we like to span the entire relationship journey at HIO. So it's before you meet all the way through to post that connection, and really making sure that you're following up, you're building that relationship and that communication, and that story continues on as well. So yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think it's paramount. It's not just about meeting everyone, but it's about making sure that those relationships run deep and they're dynamic as well.
Yeah, and I love the way you use like the sort of like the toolbox. I mean, all these different pieces that we have, HiHo, the HiHo hover that you have on the engagement tool on the website, as I like to call it, that they are the networking toolbox kit of what you need, but you've got to be able to balance it all out at the same time. So with the top tips, what have you learned for yourself in self-reflection? I talk to this a lot to many connections, is what have you learned so far about yourself? Self-reflection, knowledge, or even knowledge from your peers that you've got around you. Would you mind sharing that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I've certainly, this one's an easy one for me because I realized it very early on, and I've had to continue to think about it every day and every year, is probably resilience. I think when you get into business, you're in your professional career, there are going to be a lot of setbacks, probably more setbacks, to be honest, than there will be wins at certain times as well. And for me, especially if you're building a business from the start, or something like HiO, where you're really building from the ground up and betting the farm on everything, you really need to have some resilience across that period as well, and know there's going to be some adversity. And through that has just been, from like a learning perspective, growth and people around me. So I've always surrounded myself with smarter people than myself. I never like to be, as the analogy goes, the smartest person in the room. And to be honest, I never am. But it's always been fortunate for me that I'm always continuing to learn and grow and add a certain skill set to who I am as well, which has helped over the years. And I think once I figured out exactly where my core strengths were and what I did really well, is I kind of trickled down on all of those. And that's where I really concentrate my time on as well.
When was the hardest part? I want to come in a little bit further on that one for resilience wise, right? Could you mention when was the hardest part that you hit that resilience wall, and
Yeah,
who helped?
So this is a bit of my own private story as well, but I don't really like to talk too much about the pandemic and everything else going on, because I think everyone's kind of heard enough of it. But I think that has been a true, struggle for a lot of people. And I think before I joined HiO, and I had a lot to do with Jason with this business, is was running another business as well, and obviously everything closed down, and that was probably the business resilient part for me, is just really understand that, look, like, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and there is going to be another side of this, even if it is a long period of time. But I think that the other side of that, and going way back to the start of the story, is that when I very first got into business, again, just young and naive, didn't know any better, I got into business and I had no experience. So I have no formal training, never went to university or anything like that. I was fortunate that I had a mentor that kind of taught me everything that I know today foundationally, and especially in sales. And I got knocked down a lot. Like, I'm very competitive. I come from like a sporting background as well. So that's where the competitive nature comes. And probably that first year was a struggle. I was very successful in that first year, but there was a lot of emotional up and downs. And I think you need to realize that business and your professional career is super emotional. And if you can understand that early and you can get out of your own head, you can get through it. But if not, then you will definitely struggle from time to time.
I think it's great when you set that goal in motion, or the objective that you want to achieve, and then congratulations to you really for pushing forward through it all, because you're still keeping hold of where you want to get to.
Yeah.
People forget about the focus on the destination, the route to destination, and you will get knocked down. And it's a great sports analogy from a sports background, is that you will get knocked down, but you got to pick yourself back up, dust yourself down, keep pushing forward, keep learning from people around you, have a support network around you at the same time that are pushing you forward and giving you the helping hand when you need it. And I think, if you don't mind me saying, that's what you've built around you right now with, like, Jason and everybody else, that's the people that I've met.
I think as well, like, and coming back to Revitalise and everything you do, like connecting with people and networking. I think a lot of individuals, both in their business and professional life, they like to silo themselves and keep to themselves. And I think no one can get through by themselves, right? And I think you need like-minded people around you, especially if you want to get through those hard times. And I think that the more relationships you build and the better understanding that you have that what you're going through is exactly what everyone else is going through as well. And when you realize that, things become a whole lot easier as well. And it becomes a whole lot easier to get results too. So you will start to understand better the other person across the table from you, across the Zoom call, and really be able to give back in a more meaningful way, which then therefore it'll come back in spades as well.
It's a good point. I mean, it's something I spoke about recently. I know we're digressing here slightly, but it's many people will prejudge before speaking to somebody. But then when they speak to them and build a relationship up with them, that person's usually with them for a long, long time. And it's not just a one-time conversation. It's multiple conversations that you're having. And as you've always said throughout today, is building up those key relationships up with individuals. So yeah.
Sure.
So thanks very much for sharing that. So with everything we've discussed today, Nigel, how can people make contact with you? What's the best door to knock on and to speak to you?
I think the best door to knock on would certainly be our website. So hiosocial.com. You'll find out everything to do with the company, but more specifically, Hover, our new product. You'll also, depending on when you see this, we have just launched recently, and we've just launched our beta, which you're a part of, and we want to thank you for that as well. And if anyone else is interested in talking to the team, myself, about what our community and our engagement tool can do, we would love to help. I think what we're really trying to do and give back to is that not a lot of people or individuals or businesses have the tools or resources to be able to build true engagement themselves, or tools like this. We really want to build something that has a high engagement rate that allows you to kind of keep things on brand and keep things in control. So again, hiosocial.com. If you want to look me up, obviously LinkedIn is probably a good spot as well. So Nigel with 2 L's. That was not by choice by me, but it's something that everyone misses. So you will find me online. But yeah, please reach out, send me a DM, send me a connection request. Be happy to connect as well and start building that relationship in that journey.
Yeah, thanks very much, Nigel. Again, like Nigel's saying, if you've got any questions whatsoever, I'd highly recommend that you connect with Nigel and the team. Have a look on LinkedIn, start the conversation. But as Nigel's mentioned throughout today's Revitalise Meets, if you want any further information, check it out, the Hi-Ho Hover on the Revitalise website link. Just look down at the bottom, click on it, get involved and start the conversation. Thank you very much, Nigel. It's been an absolute pleasure and privilege to be able to welcome you along today.
Perfect. Thank you. This has been great. It's a good conversation and happy to chat anytime.
You're more than welcome. Thanks very much. And thank you for everybody who's been watching and listening today. Stay tuned for more Revitalise Meets coming very soon, where I get the opportunity, as always, to meet many business entrepreneurs, business leaders, and key influencers from across the global network. From me and Nigel, take care, keep safe, keep healthy, and remember, as always, keep connecting. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye for now.